I know very few millennial girlies who weren't fans of the Cheetah Girls as kids, but for those who were in the know, the Cheetah Girls was the first musical Disney Channel original movie premiering in 2003 and produced by some of the same producers of The Princess Diaries, which included the Whitney Houston. The story follows the Cheetah Girls, an ambitious teen girl group of 4 best friends living in Manhattan. Their story starts as a plan to win their school's talent show and then leads to a real opportunity with a record label. We watch as the potential of real fame becomes a possibility, how it changes the girls, specifically Galleria. And in true Disney fashion, the movie highlights a story of girls navigating the challenges of staying true to themselves and each other. My favorite part about the movie were all the songs, especially Cinderella, even though the original song by my favorite girl group at the time, Play, was better. And let me know in the comments if you too forced your grandparents to watch you perform these songs with your siblings and cousins. I know it wasn't just me. The movie's cast was a major factor in its success, featuring established stars like Raven-Symoné, the star of Disney's hit series That's So Raven, who played Galleria, the leader of the girl group, with Lynn Whitfield portraying her mother. Co-starring as members of the Cheetah Girls was Adrienne Bailon and Keely Williams, both members of the popular girl group 3LW. The two starred as Chanel and Aqua, respectively, bringing their own real-life girl group flair and drama low-key to the roles of the Cheetah Girls. Following the release of the Cheetah Girls in 2003, the franchise quickly became a cultural phenomenon and a staple in millennial media. The first movie soundtrack was a major hit, and the success led to 2 more sequels, The Cheetah Girls 2 in 2006 and The Cheetah Girls 3, One World in 2008, both which were widely popular. The movies helped cement the group as fashion and music icons. The songs and styles really resonated with fans. The Cheetah Girls became role models for empowerment and friendship, while their music topped the charts and earned awards. With a lasting impact on pop culture, the franchise continues to be remembered fondly by fans, old and new, and remains one of Disney Channel's most successful movie series. But did you know? The movie originated from a book series that started in 1999. So not too long ago, I uploaded my first BookTube content where I rated and reviewed all of the books I read this year so far. During the intro of that video, I go back down memory lane and talk about some of the book series I read as a kid. And unmentioned in that video was the Cheetah Girls book series by Deborah Gregory. I own and read 4 thick books, which are composed of 16 separate novels, split 4 in each. And although I was a big fan of the book series, as well as the movies, there were some things that I remember sticking out to me, and I'm curious to know if anyone else who've read the books picked up on this too. So one of the main differences between Disney's adaptation of the Cheetah Girls and the books were that there were 5 members of the Cheetah Girls, not 4. Anjanette, or Angie, was the 5th member and Aquanette's, or Aqua's, twin sister. She was the character the movie left out, and as a black girl who has always been hyper-focused on my representation in the media that I enjoy, of course I recognize that Aqua and Angie were the only black girls in the girl group. In the Cheetah Girls book series, the story is told from a rotating first-person perspective, with each Cheetah Girl having her own book narrated from her point of view, except for the twins who share a book. In this video, I want to focus on the first book, Wishing on a Star, which is told from Galleria's perspective, because what stood out to me initially, which did not exist in the movie, was the color-specific superiority complex Galleria portrayed in her book's POV towards the twins. The way she thought about them and treated them was very different compared to how she treated her multicultural and lighter-skinned group mates. So to break it down, Galleria is biracial. Her mother is black and her father is Italian. She described herself as having lighter skin with kinky hair that she wore long and curly. Galleria's best friend Chanel, or Chuchi, is a multicultural mix of Puerto Rican, African, Cuban, and Dominican descent, and described often by Galleria as having exotic eyes and light skin. And Dorinda, who was monoracially white in the Cheetah Girls movie played by Sabrina Bryan, was actually biracial, black and white in the books. The Cheetah Girls books were clearly intended to represent and celebrate Afro-adjacent girls of color, which, side note, makes it interesting but totally on brand how Disney made sure to create white girl representation from this. And it isn't lost on me how black girls, specifically dark-skinned black girls, went from having 2 characters as representation in the Cheetah Girls books to 0 in the Disney movie. It was clear to me that in the story, the lighter skinned and mixed members were more favored and pushed forward, treated more as focal points compared to the black girls. And this especially stands out with the twins, how they're not treated as individuals and share a book instead of receiving their own POV like the other girls. And I feel like you can see that it's evident with some of the book's original covers as well. There was not only favoritism amongst the Cheetah Girls in the story, but I could see it coming from the author as well. Galleria, aka Bubbles, Chanel, aka Chuchi, and Dorinda, aka Do Re Mi, all have special cute little nicknames, whereas the twins, despite being members of the Cheetah Girls too, don't. Although sometimes they do get referred to as hot sauce because they're from the South. But it always felt more derogatory rather than cute. There were weird moments that singled out the twins in a more degrading way. I vaguely remember reading parts of the book where the twins were described as being jealous of the mixed girls and not receiving the same amount of attention as them too. And while I normally would point this out as being negative representation for black girls, I actually see a little bit of value in this depiction, not for being an accurate portrayal of black girls, but being an accurate portrayal of how colorist people see, label, and treat them. Galleria is very self-absorbed and controlling. She doesn't let anyone else write the songs, her opinions are always de facto, and she initially tries to run the group like a dictatorship. Which is why it makes sense to me that I'm pretty sure Galleria was a colorist too. Or at least had some subconscious colorist ideologies, despite having a black mother who she did admire. And again, I'm not really upset about this, because I think this kind of characteristic speaks true to the type of people that exist, whom black girls are confronted with in real life, and it's interesting to read from her honest perspective. In many of my video essays where we overanalyze colorism in the media, I often warn black girls of the different kinds of colorist people, including mixed women. And I think some of the writing in the Cheetah Girls that may go unnoticed represent that way of thinking and behaving. Galleria is hyper-focused on skin tone. In her POV, she often describes the girls by their skin tone. And this is something I think a lot of people do, especially in communities of color. What I picked up on instantly was how she always positively described Chuchi, or Chanel, and Do Re Mi, or Dorinda, who are both light-skinned, mixed, and multicultural, compared to the twins who are monoracial and black. When Galleria first sees the twins, she notes that one is chocolate and the other is lighter skin. However, on the book covers, both twins are often depicted as being dark-skinned, and I feel like they are treated that way for the majority of the book series. In the first book, Wishing on a Star, page 49 to 50, Galleria comments that Angie's lipstick against her brown skin looks like a neon sign. In true mean girl fashion, lipstick shades on dark skin are colorist criticisms that most black girls know too well. Initially, Galleria appears to be intimidated by the twins. She and Chanel had met them previously before they were introduced in the book, and Galleria felt jealous because they were singers too, which is interesting compared to how welcoming she was towards Dorinda earlier. Galleria immediately sees the twins as competition, and during their first proper introduction, she is condescending and rude. But why? Aqua and Angie are from Houston and described as being very Southern. They are known for singing in church and have very powerful voices, and Galleria shows major friction with them for their differences. She often mocks their accent and country girl style as a way of cloaking her insecurity towards them. But sometimes she is downright mean to them. When the twins join the group, they immediately take the roles as the background vocals, which I thought was odd since they are described as having the most powerful voices out of the group. But it also kind of flows more with the colorism mindset of putting the darker skinned black girls in the back and the mixed girls up front, which is also a tactic used in most black girl groups as well, where we often see the lighter members centered in up front. While reading the book series, it felt like Angie and Aqua accepted their positions in the back seat in more ways than just vocals. Sometimes the twins felt like an afterthought, despite being equal members of the group. When the girls first meet in Wishing on a Star, Angie and Aqua ask them about their ethnicity and comment on how cute the mixed girls are, which is nice, right? But also kind of implies an inferiority complex between them, as if the other girls are special to them because of it. And I don't remember if anyone ever compliments the twins for their physical appearance like the other girls. There are moments in the book where I do remember the adults or other kids at school referring to Galleria, Chanel, and Dorinda as the pretty girls, and I can't recall if it ever extended to Aqua and Angie. This demonstrates colorism as well as futurism and texturism, because in the real world, these words are often weaponized against black girls to undermine them and their natural black features. Many colorists like to dub non-blackness as a synonym for pretty, implying that blackness is not. When Dorinda joined the group, Galleria and Chanel were both ecstatic, friendly, and immediately took her in as a friend. Galleria referred to her as cute, describing her as tiny and pretty, and Chanel claimed Dorinda as their sister. But Galleria was so hostile towards Aqua and Angie. And this is something that I even noticed in real life. Most colorist people will be initially more welcoming towards other non-black girls, especially compared to black girls, no matter the circumstances. And this is also something we hear being expressed from black girls in the entertainment industry who share their experiences with discrimination, mistreatment, and exclusion. Galleria is notably more confrontational with the twins when she disagrees with them. Aqua speaks up and stands up to Galleria, which of course she doesn't like, but instead of just being mad about it, she often thinks about retaliating violently. And she often refers to Angie, the twin who tries to be the peacekeeper, as sneaky, demonizing her passive nature, saying she'll smile in your face and then go along with her sister, as if Galleria doesn't do the same thing with Chanel. Galleria also uses a lot of colorist-coded language towards them, like when she calls them jealous, another thing black girls who can recognize colorism know too well. Often, whenever a black girl stands up for herself or calls out colorism, she is gaslighted with colorist trigger words, such as insecure, ugly, victim mentality, or the most overplayed, jealous. And you know, it's just so hypocritical of Galleria to act this way as a Cheetah Girl, especially with how the book opens with what is essentially the Cheetah Girls' Constitution, where the second bullet reads, "All Cheetah Girls are created equal, but we are not alike. We come in different sizes, shapes, and colors, and hail from different cultures. I will not judge others by the color of her spots, but by their character." Sure. Okay. Also, remember, these are just my opinions on a fictional character in a book I read for the first time when I was a child, so don't take it too hard. Colorism, like racism, isn't always blatant and loud. Sometimes it is indirect, subtle, and unintentional, especially if that mindset has been normalized by the environment and people around you. And that's just the vibe I get from Galleria at the start of the book series, primarily when she first met Aqua and Angie. I can't remember if it got better or worse as the story progressed. I'll have to reread to be sure, but like I mentioned before, I vaguely remember feeling like colorism towards the twins was present throughout the entire book series. So just like when I first read those books so many years ago, I am left feeling conflicted because on one hand, it's sad how much media, both in TV and literature, directed for black girls are so mean to them, including aspects that can really chip away at their self-esteem. And it's frustrating how they present these instances without elaborating on why they're happening and the feelings that black girls have dealing with it. In my video, Why Dejanay, Not Zoe, is the Real Victim, we overanalyze those same themes in The Proud Family, another TV show on Disney that, despite centering a black girl, also disrespected them. And on another hand, this colorist treatment is very realistic and true, and I think it's important to read from an honest perspective of people who have those superiority complexes and colorist mentality as a black girl. Often black girls are treated and looked at this way, and although it's a hard pill to swallow, in certain cases, I personally think it's important to understand how these people feel and act, so we don't internalize it and figure out our own way of dealing and responding to it. And I do find it interesting sometimes, obviously. And it can sometimes bring forward a deeper, more revealing conversation. Usually when these kind of stories are written, only one side is shown, the side where the black girl is the jealous bully. So it's interesting to see the characterization of a mixed girl targeting her colorist microaggressions towards the black girl characters, showing another side of the story that, again, black girls know too well. However, I do wonder what were the author's intentions behind Gabriella's malice. It's possible that these actions were completely normalized to the audience and author and felt justified, which again speaks to the reality of colorism. And no, it doesn't surprise me or make me feel any type of way knowing that the author is a black woman, or maybe I should say she appears to be a black woman. Similar to one of the Cheetah Girls, Miss Gregory grew up in foster care, and she mentions in her blog that she relates to Dorinda the most and feels murkiness about her origins. So it is possible that she may identify as multiracial, which makes sense as it is very well represented in her characters in her books. That also could explain why I sense something off about the treatment of the black girls in the Cheetah Girls books. But unfortunately, this isn't something that I think is exclusive to non-black writers. I personally feel like a lot of black women pedestalize mixedness and non-black representation over their own, and many create art to reflect this. No shade or anything. This is just my interpretation. As discussed in my video essay, The Erasure Effect and The Erasure Effect Part 2. We can identify how internalizing colorism and anti-blackness can lead to low self-esteem, and we've seen this demonstrated through certain black girls as well as black girl writers by contributing to their own erasure and misrepresentation in the media. But let me know in the comments, are you an OG Cheetah Girls fan? Did you read the books? And if you did you pick up on the colorist microaggressions from Galleria too? I kind of want to reread all of the books and see how I felt about the other things I remember vaguely feeling some type of way about too. Or maybe just Aqua and Angie's book. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a video on that. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, please leave a comment, please share the video, consider subscribing, and check out the other videos I referenced earlier. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!